host, John Sarianides. And as always, I'm joined by my partner, Kevin Stone. Kevin, how are you this evening?
Doing good. Glad to be back. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We've had some technical difficulties, so the mic is going to have to sit like this for tonight until we figure them out. But after a 2-week hiatus, we are back, and it's hard to believe. You know, we talk about this all the time, Stone, but football season always seems to be around the corner. It is really now around the corner. Patriots kicking off media availability next Tuesday, the 22nd. And, of course, they kick off training camp next Wednesday, July 23rd, with their first public practice. Again, we say it all the time. It's hard to believe that it's here, but it is finally here.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Look, it's nice. I'm not going to lie. These last 2 weeks have been nice to not do, a ton of stuff. But when you see the calendar start to flip and, we start to plan out our college coverage, and as everybody knows, we've been, looking for writers, and it's nice to know that football is here, or basically here, and looking forward to seeing everybody, out of fields and stuff like that again. So as nice as the break is, I can't wait till next week.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time letting go of my summer because I hate the fall other than football. I hate fall weather. I hate everything pumpkin. It's a stupid time of year other than football. So for me, I mean, I can use as much summer as possible. But nonetheless, it is what it is. Football season is upon us. Now, before we get started here, I do want to remind you that we are brought to you by Mortgage Right. Give our good friend Herb Devine a call at 781-254-2846. You can also shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. With over 27 years of experience, he has the knowledge and the know-how to help you in the real estate process. The real estate market is still cooking, coming off a relatively strong spring. Summer's been good so far. There's still some inventory out there, still some good opportunities to purchase your first or next home. If you're ready to do that or refinance, again, give our good friend Herb Devine a call at 781-254-2846, or you can shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. He and his team are available anytime, including nights and weekends. And as I mentioned, Kevin, of course, the Patriots are on deck first. They're going to be reporting to training camp next week. The following Wednesday, UMass and Holy Cross report to training camp, and then all of the Division I colleges in earnest will be reporting to training camp that following weekend. And then we'll really get going here. And in a couple of weeks after that, the high school football season will kick off as well. But speaking of the Patriots, not a lot going on the last few weeks. Of course, they've been away from the facility. Head coach Mike Vrabel, his staff, and the players for the last 5 weeks. Like I said, not a lot going on. Drake May got married. He went to Wimbledon. He hosted some quarterback camps. Players have been working out, posting videos of themselves working out. So guys have been keeping busy. But to your point about chomping at the bit, I think guys are ready to come back now. And, of course, that's going to happen next week. Now, a couple of interesting things that caught my eye over the weekend. Of course, ESPN, Jeremy Fowler, releasing his top 10 at each position. The top 10 is based on conversations he's had with executives around the league. The Patriots only had one positional player at the top 10, in the top 10 at their respective position. And, of course, that's cornerback Christian Gonzalez. Does that surprise you with all the things that they did in free agency?
No, just because you have to earn that, right? Like, it's been so bad and so ugly around here that they don't deserve the national, praise, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, but I don't buy that, Kevin. I don't buy that. I mean, I think people around the league need to look at this thing objectively. I think this idea that they've sucked the last 2 years, so therefore we don't think they have good players, I don't know if I buy that. And the only reason I say that to you is because they spent a lot of money on free agency. And so I get maybe not thinking Harold Landry is a top 10 pass rusher. I get maybe not being quite ready to elevate Milton Williams into the conversation as a top 10 interior defensive lineman. But I think for me, he could be in that conversation. Let's not forget, I know that he had the blood clot issues last year, but Christian Barmore still should be a top 10 defensive tackle in this league. He should be considered that, in my opinion. I think they should have more guys than just Gonzalez.
So that's fair. I guess I'm looking at it more as the team overall, I don't think they deserve that national respect. But yeah, like at first thought, you think Gonzalez, Williams popped in my head when you asked the question, but then again, he hasn't done it here. He did it with Philly, but we don't know what it might look like here. So I get what you're saying. You're right. Barmore, 100% should still be considered that. But I just think, again, I'm not necessarily saying this is what I think, but I do think nationally, because it's been so ugly, that's why they're not getting that respect yet.
Well, I just, again, I think, when you look at this list, I mean, it's the usual suspects. But even like when I look at running back, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, he didn't have a year worthy of being considered a top 10 back. But I mean, realistically speaking, he still should be on the outside looking in, no? I mean, he's probably top 15, let's say. He's probably in the next group of 5. Now, look, I get not putting Drake May in the top 10 yet. I mean, he has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's not there yet, but he certainly could be on that list a year from now. And the offensive line, again, I don't think anybody who's of right mind is going to argue that the Patriots deserve to have a top 10 offensive lineman. They don't. I mean, whether it be tackle, guard, center, they've been awful the last handful of years up front, specifically the last 3 years. So I don't think anybody would argue that and say, oh, well, they should have a top 10 at one of those positions. They're not even close. They're probably not even, I don't know, top 30 might be a stretch. All of that being said, though, again, like I said, I just think, to me, when you think about, when I look at their defensive tackle rankings, right, they have Dexter Lawrence 1. They have Chris Jones 2. Jalen Carter 3. Jeffrey Simmons 4. Quinnen Williams 5. Leonard Williams 6. Namandi Matabike from Baltimore 7. DeForest Buckner 8. Vita Vea 9 from the Bucks. And then they have Cam Hayward from the Steelers at 10. I'm sorry, man, but I take Christian Barmore over half those guys. That's bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, especially Hayward.
You're not going to sell me on Cam Hayward being a better player than Christian Barmore at this point in his career. No chance.
No,
that's fiction to me. Vita Vea, a good player, but I think Barmore's more talented. DeForest Buckner, I take Barmore over DeForest Buckner any day of the week. That contract has not aged well for the Colts, right? I mean, and again, Matabike is a good player, but is he better than Christian Barmore? I'm not sure about that.
No, I'm with you there.
And Leonard Williams, nice player, kind of flown under the radar in Seattle. Hasn't gotten the same pub as he did when he was with the Jets and the Giants. But again, do you take him over Barmore? When I look at 6 through 10 on that list, I'm not sure I take any of those guys over Milton Williams, never mind Barmore.
So I'm with you on both. But on the other hand, the more, as you talk it out, the more I think about it, what Barmore already has, that chip on his shoulder, I don't mind this because it's something else he can use. And look, I feel like I know the route you're going to go. He shouldn't need it. He's a pro player. But anything these guys could use right now as that chip, I'll take it. So I agree with you, but I also don't mind it because I do think they could use it.
And again, I do think it's important to point out, even when you look at edge rusher, right? They're not going to have anybody that belongs in the top 10.
No,
safety. Probably don't have. They have a bunch of guys that are good at that position, but I don't think they're top 10 players at the position. Tight end. Is Hunter Henry a top 10 tight end in the league?
So that's what I was just going to bring up. That popped in my head. I could see you can make an argument for him, but I think you can sort of term him. He's more of a consistent security blanket than like a top tier playmaking tight end. No. You know what I mean?
But what does that even mean? Explain what that means. I mean, what is a top tier security blanket?
So I feel like that ranking that you're reading off of, that's the upper echelon, top tier touchdown, pass catching guys.
Okay.
Hunter Henry is sort of, he's just there. Now to us, we see him all the time. We know how valuable he is. To the rest of the league, I feel like he's just sort of there. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. And I see what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you. As far as who's on their top 10 tight ends, you've got Brock Bowers, George Kittle, Sam Laporta, who's had a really good first 2 years of his career. He's excellent. Trey McBride, probably the most underrated tight end in the league. You talk about a guy that probably should get a lot more publicity than he does. Trey McBride fits that bill. He's a much better player than the national perception of him. Everybody's favorite boyfriend, Travis Kelce, is 5. All right. Taylor Swift still sucks. Mark Andrews is 6. Some people will tell you they think his play has declined. I think that's a bit of a reach. I'm not sure his play has declined. I still think everybody's going to remember that key drop last year in that playoff game against Buffalo. But Mark Andrews, you talk about a security blanket. Mark Andrews is one of the best security blanket tight ends in the league in terms of being a reliable threat, especially in the middle of the field and especially in the red zone. So obviously he deserves to be in the top 10. Now, TJ Hawkinson, I can see it because he's one of those guys that as long as he stays healthy, and injuries have been an issue for him, he's had some knee stuff, but as long as he stays healthy, he's a guy that's going to roll out of bed, catch 70 balls, 800, 850 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns. So he's top 10. The one, and this is actually a local guy, the one that I might have an issue with is Isaiah Likely. They have him at 8. Now, he really stepped up last year in terms of his development and kind of became a reliable target for Lamar Jackson. Should he be in there over a Hunter Henry?
Well, so I was going to say.
But that's the one where you might be able to say, I don't know about that.
I was going to say he's more tight end 2 right now than anything.
Yeah.
But if they lost Mark Andrews, he's a tight end 1 all day. Like, if Andrews isn't on this list, then Likely absolutely deserves to be there.
Yeah. Dallas Goedert and David Njoku are 9 and 10. So
I'd almost take Henry over Njoku. I really would.
Njoku's been pretty good, though.
No, he has. Don't get me wrong.
He's been pretty good.
Yeah. But you can make an argument for Henry being at the bottom of that list.
I believe in Joe Henry. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you believe in Joe Henry still?
I do. Okay,
good. No,
are
you going to do the clap?
No. But I do think you can make the argument for Hunter.
Why are you a party pooper? You should be doing the clap.
Hey, I won life of the party in high school. So
you were the life of the party?
I won it. I was superlative.
You did? Were you the only person at that party?
No. It's a long story.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to keep this show on schedule tonight. So, yeah, we'll save that for another time, like never.
That was to say, since when?
Since tonight. This is a new us coming back. Top 10 safeties. You would have thought that they might sneak someone in there, but given the fact that Peppers had the legal troubles last year, Kyle Duggar has really regressed the last 2 years.
I was going to say, I don't think he's top 10.
I don't think he's top 10 either.
I don't know if he's top 15.
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid point. Just for curiosity's sake, Kyle Hamilton, yeah, he's the best safety in football. He's one of the best all-around players in the game, in my opinion. You're talking about a 3x3 safety. If the term 3x3 safety were in the dictionary, Kyle Hamilton's picture would be in there. Brian Branch, who I wanted the Patriots to take in the worst way in that 2023 draft. He's number 2. Xavier McKinney of my beloved Green Bay Packers. He had a big year last year in Jeff Hafley's defense coming over from the New York Giants. He's 3rd, led the league in INTs. Jesse Bates. This one's interesting to me because remember now, Bates leaves Cincinnati, where he was a really good player, gets the big contract in Atlanta, hasn't really lived up to that contract, but apparently to people around the league he has because they have him at 4. So
it's Atlanta. Like, how can you thrive in that defense, right?
Yeah, well, he apparently, according to league executives, he's thriving. Kirby Joseph, another Detroit Lion at 5. Derwin James, who I thought he'd be higher on this list, is at 6. Antoine Winfield Jr. is 7. Budda Baker is 8 from the Cardinals. And then 9 and 10 are the newly acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's now a Miami Dolphin. Of course, in case you missed that, he got traded last week from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, old friend Jonnu Smith. And Julian Love, a guy that doesn't get a lot of love nationally, he's the number 10 safety in the league, according to executives. So, again, you look at it, to your earlier point, some of this is a byproduct of the fact that they've been a bad football team the last 2 years, 4-13 each year. The league looks at that and says, even with the upgrades this offseason, even with the hiring of Rabel, even with all the money they spent in free agency, even with everything they did in the draft, There's a lot of unknowns with this football team. There's a lot that needs to be figured out this season. Something tells me that I think a year from now, we're going to be having a different conversation when it comes to how many Patriots are in the top 10 at their respective positions.
Yeah, I think you'll see Carlton Davis in there. I think you'll see Gonzalez. I think you'll see Barmore. I think you'll see Williams. You hope that you see Stephon Diggs, with a resurgent type of year.
I want to see Drake May in the top 10.
Sure, of course.
I mean, honestly, Diggs would be nice.
Yeah.
That means he bounced back and he was the Stephon Diggs of old.
Yeah.
But, man, I think for the Patriots and in some ways their psyche, I think if Drake May is a top 10 quarterback a year from now, that means that they're on the precipice of contending and he's 100%. Legit and they're going to be a contender again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I do think you'll see at least a handful. And to your point, ideally, Drake May leads that class. But if you don't have a handful of guys, that means something went wrong this year, at least in my opinion.
No, I agree with you, man. I do. I agree with you. Look, if we're going to sit here and say that this is a team that should be 8-9, 9-8, possibly even 10-7, well, then you got to have more than one guy in the top 10 at every position in the NFL. Of course, Gonzalez, and for what it's worth, I still don't understand why the NFL Network does the stupid NFL Top 100.
I hate it.
I used to love it. I love the original one that did the top 100 players of all time. Yeah. I loved that. And then the first 3 or 4 years of the top 100 was pretty good when they did it on a week-to-week basis. And they did, 100 to 90 and 89 to 80 and blah, blah, blah. But now they've kind of gotten away from it because people lost interest in it. It's kind of turned into American Idol where people just don't care anymore. Like American Idol is still on, but nobody watches that shit. Nobody cares about that stupid show anymore.
I didn't know that.
I think the only reason that show is on is because they owe Ryan Seacrest money. He probably has a lifetime contract and they have to justify employing him. So that's the only reason that show is on. All that being said, that's what the NFL Top 100 has turned into now. It's turned into the American Idol of football where, people don't care. It used to be somewhat of a badge of honor if you made that list. Is it really a badge of honor now? Nobody gives a shit. Okay, Christian Gonzalez is 84 on the top 100. 5 years ago, I'll even go back to 3 years ago, post-COVID. I think it would have been a little bit of a bigger deal media-wise. We probably would have written about it. Now,
No, honestly,
84.
Honestly, I think guys care more about their Madden rating than that countdown.
And that's stupid. That's even dumber, in my opinion.
Sure, but I do think it matters more to them, to your point, than that countdown.
That's like people who play college football now and post about it on X. It's just ridiculous.
We'll get to that at the end of the show. Don't worry.
Yeah, do we have to?
Yeah.
Closing thoughts. Remember now, Stone, the objective here is to produce good content.
Hey, content is content.
Not I'm sitting on my couch, hanging out, playing as the Boston College Eagles or the UMass Minutemen. And
hey, you saw the social media engagement.
It's crazy. By the way, are you going to play a season?
Oh, yeah.
Who are you playing with? Inquiring minds want to know.
Started with BC, but I will say.
So, hold on now. You said you started with BC. Does that mean you've already played a season?
No, I'm in the middle of it. But for content purposes.
Itchy nose.
For content purposes, to your point, I went to UMass UConn as well. And I actually did go and see what Bob Chesney looked like, our old friend with Jay Madison. It's pretty cool. And Dean Kennedy is in there.
Is it a good representation of Ches?
Yes, actually.
He's a handsome guy now. We don't want them to do our guy Bob Chesney wrong.
No, they did a good job with him. But I'll have more on that later tonight.
Yeah, he is. People that know us know we think the world of Bob Chesney. One of our earliest supporters at New England Football Journal. And here's the thing. That aside, if you know Bob on a personal level, he's one of the best people you'll meet, salt of the earth. Let's stick with the Patriots, though. I do want to delve into some college here in a little bit. But let's stick with the Patriots. Of course, training camp, as we mentioned, starts next Wednesday. We're going to preview the offensive side of the ball next Monday. But tonight, we are going to preview the defensive side of the ball. And we talk about all the money that the Patriots spent in free agency. And obviously, I think going into free agency, the topic of conversation was, all right, what are they going to do to surround Drake May with weapons, even though I hate that term, and how are they going to fortify the offensive line? That was a lot of the conversation. And pretty early on in free agency, Mike Vrabel, Ryan Cowden, Elliott Wolf said, nah, we're going to fortify the defense. We're going to spend money to improve the pass rush, get another corner, improve on the back end. And boy, did they ever. They added Milton Williams on a 4-year, $104 million contract. They signed Harold Landry to play edge rusher. They signed Carlton Davis to pair up with Christian Gonzalez to form arguably the best cornerback tandem in the league. They added Marcus Epps on the back end. They added another pass rusher in Kaylavon Chason, who I think could be a really good situational pass rusher for him. They added Robert Spillane as an off-the-ball linebacker. Mike Vrabel wanted to build this defense. It's going to be a lot different than what they did under Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo schematically. I've said this all offseason. This defense isn't going to be about gap control and controlling gaps. This defense is going to be about taking gaps and guys winning one-on-one. And when you look at the free agent signings, Kevin, and the guys they brought in, and you got a pretty good look at them in the spring, but when you look at the guys that they brought in guys that are going to fit this attacking style of defenses, playing up the field, resetting the line of scrimmage, causing havoc, forcing the quarterback out of the pocket, limiting the running back's ability to get to the second level. It's going to be a much different scheme than what we're used to seeing, and the free agent signings prove that. But I think when you look at this defense, and when you look at what they have coming back with Gonzalez and Duggar and Peppers and Barmore and Tavai if he's healthy, Christian Ellis, who they retained. When you look at Anthony Jennings, when you look at what they have back, you take those guys and then you augment them with these free agent signings. This defense should be pretty good. I'll say this. I'm going to go on record and say now, if this isn't a top 10 defense, yes, I said top 10. If this isn't a top 10 defense, I think they underachieved.
I was going to say top 5.
All right, relax. Top 10 is fine.
Sure. But no, look.
You got to crawl before you walk, and you got to walk before you run, Stone.
Of course. But I do think coaching matters first and foremost. And I think that alone is going to make them better, maybe more so on the offensive side than the defensive. Yeah.
I agree because I think 2 years ago I thought Belichick and Stevie B and Mayo did a pretty good job with that defense. They had some clunkers, but
they just couldn't score.
But by and large, they did a pretty good job with that unit. I think last year was fool's gold, week 1 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati always stumbles out of the gate. They sucked the first month of the season. They proved it again. And then I think that Seattle game was more of who they really were. And you had those occasional games like the 9-sack performance against the Bears. But outside of that, they were nowhere near as good defensively last year as they were 2 years ago or even 3 years ago. So I'm cautiously optimistic when I say top 10.
No, I hear you. But again, that goes back to coaching for me. Like, I think we had the conversation last year at some point. We must have, as to whether or not they would have been better off with Bill.
We did.
We must have.
I think it's easy to blame it on Mayo and Covington last year, but I think the other question that needs to be asked, though, is, I was looking, I did the defensive line today for our preview. We'll have all our offensive previews up by this weekend. A lot of people were critical of Keon White last year, for example, right? Keon White had 5 sacks last year. His rookie year, he had 1 sack. So Keon White, I think a lot of people thought that he was somehow going to make that jump from being a 1-sack guy in 23 to a 10.5 sack guy in 24. That is a huge jump. I never thought that was going to happen. I think he showed more progress last year than people are willing to give him credit for. And I think he's a guy that could flourish in this scheme. Schematically, when you look at him as a player, his style of play, he could flourish in this defense. But I do think it's important to point out, though, that while it's easy to blame Covington last year, I don't think this defense was very good from a talent standpoint.
No, it definitely wasn't. No.
How good were they outside of Gonzalez? Was there a player on the defensive side of the ball that you could point to and say, that guy's a difference maker? They lost Barmore early, didn't have him most of the season.
I was going to say, they also, you nabbed Judon.
Lost Bentley.
You got rid of Judon early, too. So you put yourself in a hole. So I agree with you there. But, and just to talk about this team, the talent is there. Like, you could see it. And again, it's minicamp, there's no pads, but there was a sense of just guys that knew what they were doing. And I don't think you had that last year. Even at Christian Ellis, like when he speaks, it's a strong, veteran presence. Robert Spillane in the middle, just watching him operate in minicamp, it's a leader. You have a leader in the middle of that defense now. Harold Landry, he was the best player in OTAs in terms of his speed, and I think he's going to help Keon White maybe more than anybody on that other side. But Keon White, if you remember, at the end of OTAs, said, I feel like I have a coach now. That just back to my original point that I do think coaching mattered that much last year. But no, to everything you've said, they're going to be better. I think they're going to play faster. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think I think a lot of that is going to be the scheme. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The defense is going to allow them to play faster. I think that's the important piece here that I think is so important for people to understand. The reason that they're going to play faster is because philosophically, the defense is going to allow them to do that. Now, look, Vrabel didn't have dominant defenses in Tennessee, if you really think about it. He had a couple of years there, he had some pretty good defense. Williams is coming from that Detroit scheme where they can rush the passer, they can get after it. They rely a lot on their defensive line getting pressure, but they also played a lot of man coverage and they gave up a lot of big plays, especially last year. So part of the reason why I think they wanted to blend those two defenses is because they felt that that's the best way to operate with what in terms of what they wanted to do. But the other reason why they targeted guys like Carlton Davis is Davis played in Detroit, so Williams knows him as a player. But I think the other point here that's important is they looked at what happened to Detroit last year and said, okay, we want to play that style. We want to play the way we played in Tennessee, but we also need to make sure that we're really good on the back end. Because if we're not good enough on the back end, especially at corner, then we're going to give up big plays again like we did last year in Detroit. So, I think that that's a big part of it, in my opinion. I think that when you look at what they did in free agency, they want to play a certain way. They brought in guys that are going to allow them to play a certain way. Now, the depth of this defense is going to be vitally important to their success. When you talk about guys like Kayvon Chaisson, he needs to be a very good situational pass rusher for him. Braden Swinson, the rookie out of LSU, very similar to Kayvon Chaisson physically. He needs to be a good situational pass rusher for him. And then you're going to need other depth guys to step up and do their part. Jeremiah Farms, who's found a way to stay on this roster the last 2 years. He's a guy that's going to need to be a really good situational pass rusher for them, a la Adam Butler a few years ago. And then when you look at linebacker, they matched the Las Vegas Raiders offer sheet on Christian Ellis. They didn't match that because they wanted to overpay a special teamer. They matched that because they see him being a good fit in this scheme. He's going to play in sub packages. He could carve out a role for himself. So, again, a guy like him, he's going to be a big part of this defense, which is going to put pressure on a guy like Jelani Tavai, who got banged up at the end of minicamp. But that's going to put pressure on a guy like him to have to really bring it in camp to make this football team. And, of course, you have other question marks on defense as well. We have to assume Marcus Jones is your starting nickel. Who's going to play the dime? Is it Alex Austin? They've got some guys there they like. I want to see more out of Marcellus Dial. I think he's a super twitched up athletic corner, but he had a really rough year last year, and he was primarily relegated to playing on special teams. And then at safety, what do you get out of Kyle Duggar? Is Kyle Duggar ever going to live up to that contract they gave him last offseason? He didn't last year. I thought he struggled last year.
Yeah.
Marcus Epps, I think, gives him a true center fielder. I think that'll be nice. I think they needed somebody that can play over the top like that. What is Jabril Peppers going to look like? He had legal problems last year. He missed a bunch of games. He's not exactly the most twitchy, athletic guy out there. He's a guy that has to play downhill and play like a box safety. What's his role in this defense going to be? And the guy that I'm excited to see is the rookie from Cal. I'm excited to see Newsome, the rookie from Cal. I think he's a guy that's really going to fit well with what they want to do in terms of a 3-by-3 safety.
I think two guys in the secondary we haven't mentioned, or one you did mention, Jalen Hawkins, I think is going to be huge
Well,
for
he
this team.
played well for them last year, and they signed him.
Yeah. And then with Peppers, in terms of, athletically, you're right. He's not the most, twitchy guy or athletic guy. But A, he's a thumper. And B, if you watch him communicate on the back end, specifically in OTAs, he's their biggest talker. And I think that's huge. You haven't had a guy back there.
I said Newsom, by the way. I meant Craig Woodson.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Craig Newsom played for the Packers in the 90s.
But I do think,
not Newsom.
I think that communication element that Peppers brings that you haven't really had since Devin McCourty, as long as you have him for the full year, I don't know if you can overestimate that or overstate that. He's their glue guy back there. Again, athletically, he might not make every single play, but you need a guy that back there that can make sure everybody's on that same page. I think he brings that to the table for you. So he's sneaky huge for this defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, again, but see, here's the thing for me. I want to see some of these young guys really emerge.
Yeah, you need to.
On a bigger role. I want to see Joshua Farmer be the third tackle in up front. I think he is talented, particularly as a pass rusher. I think he gives them something that they desperately lacked last year, especially after Barmore got hurt in camp. I think they need him to step up and be a big part of what they do. And again, I mentioned Woodson. I just think when you look at his skill set and his experience, and he played a ton at Cal, and he did a ton of things as a 3-by-3 safety, that plays in the NFL. If you have a guy that can play all three downs and play at all three levels, which is what the term 3-by-3 means, and yes, I coined that term. I'm pulling a Barry Horowitz now, patting myself on the back. By the way, that's the lamest thing I've ever done in my life. But anyway, nonetheless, I digress. I think he's a guy that the sooner he comes along, I think he's a great fit in the system. And I do think you're going to see the Patriots play a lot of 3 safety stuff. I think they're going to play with 3 safeties, especially if Newman, I did it again. If Woodson can come along, I think they're going to play more 3 safety stuff. Yeah, now, I think early on, you're going to see them play more nickel dime, more traditional sub packages in terms of personnel. But I think if Woodson can develop and he has a good camp, a good preseason, he gets comfortable, I think as the season goes on, they're going to play more 3 safety stuff with him as that hybrid guy that can play at all 3 levels, which I think, again, from a schematical game planning standpoint, it would be huge for this defense.
Yeah, no, he's not a postal worker living in New York. But I hope you got the reference, no?
I got the reference,
Just making sure. But to your point,
I know, I get it. You're obsessed with Seinfeld. You have to sneak it in at every turn.
It's the greatest show ever invented. But
to your that or Matt Applebaum, you have to sneak one of the 2 in.
I need to figure that out later on. To your point about the younger guys needing to step up, they need a core of guys that has a potential to earn a contract. We talked a lot about this during the draft. It's been forever since they had, a guy go through, get developed, and then sign that second deal. You need to start building a younger core. Yeah. So to your point,
it's the game in this league now.
Yeah, so they need guys on both sides of the ball to show that they're going to be here for the long haul.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, man. It's the name of the game. You are watching / listening to the New England Football Show presented by Mortgage Right. I'm your host, John Sarianides. What are you on the bench? You just come out of the game and you're getting a swig out of the Gatorade bottle?
They stay so much colder. I'm going to have this all during training camp. Can't wait.
Please don't bring it. Or at least bring it the days I'm not there. I don't want to be associated with a grown man drinking out of that bottle that's not an athlete. In any event,
I wasn't.
We are brought to you by Mortgage Right. If you're in the market to purchase your next home, your first home or refinance, give our good buddy Herb Devine a call, 781-254-2846. Or you can shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. With over 27 years of experience, Herb has the knowledge and the know-how to help you get into your next home or help you get into a better mortgage by refinancing. Again, give him a call at 781-254-2846 or shoot him an email at herb@mortgageright.com. He and his team are available anytime, including nights and weekends. All right, what do we want to talk about college here? Because we're on the eve, I should say the eve. We're a couple of weeks away from training camp opening up. Of course, one of the big stories this offseason is we did add a 17th Division I program to the mix. New Haven is now officially Division I. They will be playing out of the NEC. We do plan on covering a couple of those Charger games this year, but not a lot to talk about as we are on the eve of training camp here, a couple of weeks away. One thing I do want to point out, big weekend recruiting last week, specifically for Tabor Academy. Both Marcus Almada and Carter Gooden committed to UCLA, which is huge for Deshaun Foster and the Bruins. Kind of a big moment for them because they basically staked a flag in New England and said, we're here and we're going to recruit this area. I got to be honest with you, Kevin. I didn't see this coming. I did not see two things. One, I didn't see UCLA getting either one of them, even though I had heard rumblings that UCLA was in it, especially for Gooden. But then the other thing I didn't see is both of them going there. I mean, this is a coup for UCLA. Kudos to them. But I think for the local programs that were recruiting those guys, this is a bitter pill to swallow, especially with Gooden, who you talk about Harold Landry. I see a lot of Harold Landry in his game. That this is a bitter pill to swallow because these are two guys that should have stayed local and ultimately decided that they wanted to play out of the region.
Yeah, I mean, their head coach was surprised, right? Like, yeah. I'm with you. There's a couple of things here. One, it's a tough look for the local schools. You're right. But it just speaks to how much the rest of the country is now valuing the talent around here. So you can't really fault those schools for not, keeping that quote unquote fence around when you have programs, look, Oklahoma, Georgia, Tennessee, like you can rattle off every program was interested in these kids. So it's not like they just, the local teams just missed out, barely. That this was an arms race for these guys, and UCLA ultimately won out. So I think you can look at it two ways. Like I said, you can look at it as the local schools need to do better, or you can look at it as this is good for, Massachusetts and New England, that a place like UCLA is coming in and making that hard push to get kids of this caliber. So it's sort of it's 50-50 for me,
Yeah, I mean, again, and ultimately this is the unpredictability of recruiting, right? Like right. You don't know. Ultimately, these kids are going to go where they want to go, where they're comfortable, where they've developed a relationship with their position coach. They've developed a relationship with the head coach. They want to go somewhere where they feel like they're going to get an education. They feel like they're going to get taken care of. But the most important thing is they're going to get an opportunity to play, and hopefully sooner than later. And look, we could sit here and say this is a big blow, but the reality is it's not the end of the world, okay? It's not the end of the world. And the reason I say that is in this era of the portal now, I mean, guys are moving around all the time, right? I mean, it's not to say that if they don't go to Boston College or UConn or UMass, that there's no possibility that they could find their way back here. We've seen plenty of guys the last few years that have left the region to go to these other schools and have somehow found their way back here. So, I mean, again, I think it's easy to say, oh, man, it's a blow for so-and-so and so-and-so. But at the end of the day, this is the unpredictability of recruiting. And I think this is the unpredictability of the current world we live in when it comes to recruiting. Yeah. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. We certainly want to wish Carter and Marcus good luck. Two really good players. We're excited to have the opportunity to cover them again one more time this season. But certainly, again, I could not believe that they ended up going out to UCLA. And that's not a knock on the UCLA program. I mean, kudos to Deshaun Foster and his staff. They obviously are doing a good job in recruiting, but they had really good offers at a bunch of other schools. I mean, Almada had 30 offers. Yeah. Gooden had 15 or more offers. So these were highly sought-after players that ultimately found their comfort zone with UCLA.
Just to your point about, the possibility of them eventually ending up back in New England, it's a good segue. Look at what URI just did. AJ Pena is coming back. Yeah. He just played Division I football, decided, you know what? Unfinished business, I'm going to go back. So, to your point, it's still very realistically possible, I should say.
Well, and that one surprised me. And I'd gotten wind that he was coming back in the spring. And, out of respect for the program there and the folks at URI are so good to us. we kind of sat on it. I didn't want to announce anything until we gave the school and AJ a chance to announce that he was coming back. But he went down to Memphis. He tried it out. He realized that it doesn't work for me. It's not a fit. I'm going back home. And here he is. He's back at URI. And look, I think for this program, and of course they announced their incoming class for 2029, I should say, but a lot of these guys are also guys that came in the portal. They've got some talented dudes coming in, and Jim Fleming and his staff have done a tremendous job recruiting a lot of talented dudes. But getting AJ Pena back is huge. I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the CAA. All of a sudden now you're talking about a program that was still going to be in the mix. I mean, they won a share of the CAA last year. You felt going into this season, especially when I saw them in the spring, I felt, no, they're going to be in the mix. I mean, especially because Delaware's gone now. The CAA has become more of a Mid-Atlantic, Northeast conference where I think the New England schools can compete at an even higher level now. You already thought URI was going to be there. When the dust settled, I think getting a guy like Pena back, it puts him in an even better position to be able to do that. One other college point here before we truck along. Brown University and Bryant University announced today that their game for October 11th has been moved to Friday night, October 10th at Bryant. So that will be a Friday night game at Bryant, Friday night, October 10th. As always, our plan is to cover that game. We will let you know if that will happen. Obviously, Friday nights, we've got expansive high school coverage. So
just one more college thing, too. The participants for ACC Media Day next week were announced with BC, and I found it interesting. Neither one of the quarterbacks is going, which if you remember the last 2 years, I sort of wrote about this. I did write about it. No, it's sort of. There's a little bit of a Madden curse.
Kevin Stone, 37 going on 87.
No, you're not wrong there. If you think about it, Tommy Castellanos was there last year on behalf of the team. We all know how that played out. 2 years ago, Emmett Moorhead was supposedly QB1, went to the ACC network, went to the ACC kickoff, did all the media stuff. He played a series and is now at Minnesota. So I don't think that'll happen with the 4 guys that are going this year. You have Logan Taylor, who has rapidly become a huge leader, literally huge, physically and just in terms of vocally for that team in just 2 years. KP Price, the safety, Lewis Bond, obviously a receiver, and who am I missing? Oh, Bam Crouch, the linebacker, who I think, along with Q Hutchins, is their best defensive player, or could be their most athletic guy. Do you think either of those guys, or let me rephrase this, is that a hint of what captains might be this year? Because I think it is. I think those guys they're all leaders in their own way. And if you think about it, I know the team usually votes for it. I wonder if that changes this year because of how things have gone.
It could be. I mean, we don't know the inner workings of how they decide these things, obviously, but it could be. I mean, I think when it comes to media days, oftentimes coaches pick guys that they think are the best representation of the program, but they also pick guys that are going to represent the program the right way when they speak to the media. Guys that are articulate and well thought out and give good answers and can answer the questions and aren't just camera shy and give short answers and just kind of look around. These are guys that are veteran leaders of this program. They're guys that are going to be impact players in this program, and they're guys that ultimately are the best representation of the program going into this season. Yeah. So I think that's why they're there. I'm not so sure it's because they're the odds-on favorites to be captains. They could end up the 4 captains, or they could be 4 of the captains. But I think it's more because I think that Bill O'Brien and the coaching staff feels that these guys are the best representation of Boston College football right now. And when discussing Boston College football, they believe that these guys are going to give an accurate that they're going to be an accurate representation of the program when they answer questions regarding Boston College football. That's why I think they're there.
No, I hear you, which makes it even more ironic that it's been Phil Jakovic and Tommy, 2 of the past 4 years. But while I'm thinking of it, real quick, when you were coaching.
I'm saying real quick. We're not on a
Yeah,
time.
what do you want me
We're
to
not
do?
on a time limit here. It's not like when the clock hits 59 minutes, we're going to combust.
When you were coaching, were you a players vote guy, or did you want the coaches to do it?
No. It's a very, very tricky process. Best case scenario, you want the players to decide who leads them. Oftentimes, that doesn't sit well with parents because, in the eyes of parents, the reason you're doing it this way is because you're trying to get off the hook. You're trying to get yourself off the hook. The reality is, if you let the kids decide, you're putting it in their hands as to who leads them. And I do think it should be a team choice. I do think it should be a team decision. I don't think that the coaches should be picking captains because I do think that, A, that puts the coach in a tough spot and it puts the staff in a tough spot. But B, it's not a good look to me, Kevin, because I think it shows that, I don't want to say it shows that you're playing favorites, but I think it shows that the process was, dare I say, rigged and predetermined. And other kids who have worked hard in the offseason, who are program kids who have done everything you've asked them to, but aren't good players, those kids end up getting screwed when the coach picks the captain. So I think most coaches, probably 80% of coaches, have the players pick the captains. One of the things I used to do when I was a head coach was I'd tell the players, okay, you're picking this number. You're picking this many captains. So let's say this year we feel we can have 5 captains. You guys are going to vote on 4. I'm going to give you every name of who's in the running to be captain. You're going to pick 4, and then we're going to have a coach's pick, and we're going to pick the 5th captain. But we wouldn't pick the 5th captain until the week of the first game. That's when we would pick the first captain. I've done that before. I've also done, all right, you guys vote for these 4 people to be captain. You get 4 choices, okay? And then we're going to do a game captain every week. So every week we'll have a 5th captain, but it'll be someone else, and it'll be something that they either earned via the way they played the week before or how they practiced. So, I mean, there's a myriad of ways to do it, but I think it's really important that the players drive the process, and I think it should be their choice.
No, I agree. I was just curious what you thought, just because, like, I'm pretty sure BC goes like 2 offense, 2 defense, and a special teams, if I'm not mistaken. I very well could be, but I know they want to have offense and defense, and I feel like the NFL usually does that as well. So it's just, to me, it's a fascinating dynamic every year, especially now. If a kid feels disrespected, see you later. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's
Well,
not.
I'll say this, though. I don't know how much captaincies mean to people anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're one captain at Harvard, that's a big deal.
Of course.
If you're not one of 5 captains at Boston College, is it going to scar you for life? Probably not.
No,
So,
so you're right. It's probably more meaningful in high school.
yeah, and Bill O'Brien's not going to listen to shit from the parents. I mean, they might be raining down booze if the offense is struggling or
Right.
calling for his head or the offensive coordinator's head. But my point is, if Bill O'Brien says, all right, I'm picking the captains, this is how we're going to do it, and he goes out and he picks the captains, well, if a kid goes home and complains to his parents, what is a parent going to do? Call Blake James and bitch to Blake James or Father Leahy? I mean, they know at that level, they know enough to shut the F up and stay in their lane. At the high school level, they don't, a lot of these parents, unfortunately.
No, that's true, but you do risk a kid going to the portal now. That's the only thing.
You do, absolutely. Because, again, a lot of it, I think, depends on how they view themselves. If they think, hey, listen, I've busted my ass for this program for 4 years, I deserve to be a captain, yeah. Now, again, that kid also needs to have their degree. You're not going to enter the portal after year 3 without your degree because you got skipped over for captain. I mean, but I think the easiest fail-safe way to do it is to just let the players pick the captains.
Yeah, no,
let them pick them, and then when the captains suck, you could say, well, the players picked them, so it's their fault. No.
Correct.
But in all seriousness, it's more or less that you should be empowering your players as much as possible. They should have a voice when it comes to their football team, and they should have a big voice, in my opinion. This is a way to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So, we talked about college football, the video game earlier. Anything else you want to add to that before we move on from that ridiculous topic?
Well, it's ridiculous to you, but you've seen the social media engagements. It's everywhere.
Stop
Look,
pretending like you're doing this for social media engagement. You're doing it
oh,
because you like playing the video game.
no, it's about 50-50. So I will say the list of Massachusetts towns that were available, they got to figure that out.
In
First
terms of what? Recruiting?
No, so when you build a player, you can have what town he's from in Massachusetts. I tweeted it out. There's probably about 50 towns
Was
that were there.
Waltham on the list?
No, and
Thank God.
but places like Paxton were. Like, what are we doing? And like East Hampton. Like, come on, like and,
Good. Anything, any town or city but Waltham. Because somehow you think Waltham is the center of the universe, and it's not.
I used to. I don't anymore. I'm actually trying to
You've
get out.
grown up?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. Just a couple other things. The coaching, in terms of the coaches actually being in there, graphics are pretty good. They all look relatively like
Did they do our good friend Coach Lewis justice? Does he look like Coach Lewis?
Lewis, yes. O'Brien, no. Jim Moore is identical, which was phenomenal. I'm trying to think who else. Like I said,
What about Coach Harasimiak? Does he look like him?
Yes, looks very, very much like him. Coach Bajakian, also in there, looks very much like him.
Did it mention that Coach Bajakian loves Armenian food because he is Armenian?
No.
Favorite place to visit, Watertown, Massachusetts.
Hey, Watertown's got good food everywhere. Look, you can bitch about the ratings all you want. It is what it is.
I haven't.
I know you haven't in particular, but
you're saying in general.
Yes, I will say, I believe Tim Lewis, not Tim Lewis, Bajakian and why can't I think of the defensive coordinator right now?
Coach Katie, Jared.
Yes,
Katie. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think I've never been Coach. Forgive me, my friend. I've always sucked at saying your last name, so please.
No, I just completely forgot it. So you're better than me.
Well, I know because you're 37 going on 87.
You're not wrong. They were like D minuses. What are we doing? I think Harasimiak was too. These guys are not they're not bottom of the barrel.
No.
But so that's annoying.
They're basing it on the stature of the program, unfortunately.
Correct. I'm trying to think what else bothered me. I think that's it. It's a good game overall. It is nice. You do need to have the FCS teams got to be in there. Like Holy Cross,
they're not right now, correct?
No, they need to be though. They have.
Like, I do think it's idiotic that they're not. I saw somebody was simulating Boston College's season, and
it's FCS East.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have like FCS.
So stupid to me.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I mean, I need to see a computer version of my good friend Coach Ciosi, who's now at Fordham as the O-line coach. I need to see what he would look like in video game form.
Imagine Flem in a video game.
Oh,
it'd be awesome.
Imagine Flem in a video game and then Flem talking like Flem in the video game.
That'd be incredible.
Or Coach Kern. Imagine Dan Kern in the game. Like
he's
the guy with the strongest handshake in history. And the guy will break your hand.
I'm shocked
giving you a casual handshake.
Shocked he hasn't broken mine in 5 years.
I know. Well, he shook my hand 2 years ago when I covered Merrimack Stonehill. And I'm 6'3" in a weight that I'm going to keep to myself. And he manhandled me. I mean, if he ever gave you that treatment, I'm pretty sure he would have ripped your rotator cuff out of your shoulder.
Well, I'm just happy he's not a hugger. I'd be dead.
Well, you don't hug anyway. You're a weirdo like that.
No, God, no.
You're antisocial.
100%. But good game overall. Obviously, nice to see the big three in there. In terms of the FCS schools, I'd love to have the Ivy teams in there. Just for our purposes too. So
no, you need to petition them. Is there a way you can get a hold of the video game developer and let them know?
No, it's too much work. But no, and to just again to have UMass and UConn and BC well represented, and to have all those Massachusetts towns that you can use, it's nice. It's a nice little. I know you're not a video game guy or haven't been in a long time.
I'm not a video game guy. I actually do enjoy video games. I'm 50. I've grown up, so you got to kind of move on from them. But I will say this. I've been playing them on my phone lately, here and there. So I'm playing the Major League Baseball game on there. I'm doing the season with the Yankees. And then I'm also doing NBA Live and Madden. So there you go. Haven't found an NHL game yet that has tickled my fancy.
NBA Live is a throwback. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, the game sucks, though. The graphics are great. It's easy to play, but they don't let you play a season with the current team, the 2024 roster. It's stupid.
Backyard baseball made a return, too. So if you really want to see me be a child, I've played that as well.
Yes. Well, I've seen you be a child plenty of times. So I don't think we need the video game for that.
Wait till I start pitching at training camp about the Heat.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. It's going to be 77, sun and clouds next Wednesday. Too
Oh,
hot for you, though.
oh no, that's beautiful. I'll take that all
Stop
day.
with the fake beautiful. You're the same guy who sat here on numerous occasions, mind you, and said, "No, it have to be 65 or 70."
Yeah, I'll take 77 in August, though.
So
I'm not an idiot.
let me tell you something. If I hear you complain about the weather day one of training camp,
Nope.
you're gonna become Baxter. I'm punting you off a bridge. I'm just telling you now.
It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
High school wise, not a lot going on. We did have the Grip It and Rip It down in Connecticut. Congratulations to Windsor for winning the Grip It and Rip It tournament. And of course, the Northeast 7-on-7 started this weekend. They had the main bracket or the North Division bracket. I can't keep track of it anymore. Coach Dombowski's got us thrown for a loop here with all the different regions and brackets. But nonetheless, the Massachusetts Eastern Mass bracket is this weekend at Milton High School on Friday and Saturday. Did I miss anything else?
Just Fairfield Prep and the lineman. With the lineman challenge at Southington High School down in Connecticut.
They won, yes.
Yeah, they dominated as well.
They won the lineman challenge. You would be correct. Over the weekend down at Southington High School, I believe like 17 schools were there. So it's pretty good. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I mentioned Windsor earlier. Quinn Fleeting taking over for his dad as the head coach at Windsor High School down in Connecticut. So Quinn Fleeting takes over for his dad at the end of last week. They won the Grip It and Rip It tournament, which is a really good tournament. You get a bunch of the New York powerhouses like Cardinal Hayes that play in that tournament every year. They win that. Fairfield Prep wins the offensive line challenge down at Southington High School. And as I mentioned, you got the Northeast 7-on-7. And of course, we plan on covering this weekend's action and next week when it's at Bishop Fenwick and the finals on July 31st. So follow along at anyfootballjournal.com for all of that coverage and any other coverage we can get our hands on. Adam joins the show. We didn't have much tonight, Stone, in terms of fan interaction. Adam Glazier joins us. How are we doing, guys? A little late, but here. Adam, great to hear from you, brother. We're glad you're here. We took a couple of weeks off. It was a nice break from Stone, but we are back now. And, yeah, that's it, man. It's football season, but thanks for checking in, Adam. We appreciate you, brother. Adam usually fills us in on what he's drinking. Seems like he's probably watching the Home Run Derby. Low-key night tonight for Adam. So he hasn't told us his beverage of choice tonight. Mine, as always, is water because alcohol is for alcoholics. Stone, you got any final thoughts here before we wrap it up?
Just a quick thank you to everyone that reached out. Well, first of all, to the local media that helped us sort of get the word out, looking for writers. That meant the world to us. So thank you to them, first of all. You know, the Andrew Callahans, the Dan Roaches, the Joe Murrays of the world. Can't thank them enough. For the Andrew, Alex Barths, those guys, can't thank them enough. But we have like 40 submissions, or 45 by my count, something like that. So just thank you to everyone that reached out. We will be getting back to people, but hoping to cover a lot more Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine this year, New Hampshire as well. So just a quick thank you to everyone that followed up with us. And again, we're going to try to get to more stuff this year as well.
Yeah. No, we've had an unbelievable response. And, you know, in a perfect world, we can hire everybody, and we're going to try to hire as many people as we can. But just definitely stay in touch. Even if we're not using you early in the season, things do change. Things come up. People have to give games back. They can't cover games. So we also have to have a bench so that we have people that can cover those games. Before we go, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Danny Ventura. Danny, of course, announcing his retirement last week from the Boston Herald as the high school sports editor. Danny is a legendary figure when it comes to high school sports in Massachusetts. He has been for the last 30-plus years. In many ways, Danny was the face of high school sports in Massachusetts. And I think anybody that knows Danny knows how much he loves covering high school sports and how much time and effort he put into it. He built something special at the Herald. And I think whoever replaces Danny is going to have big shoes to fill. And I want to wish him luck, but there's only one Danny Ventura, and we want to wish Danny the best in his retirement. He's a great guy. I've known Danny for years. We've been friends for years. I could say this: when Kevin and I started this, Danny has always been supportive of us. He always will send me a text, a message reminding me that you guys do great things for the sport of football in Massachusetts. He's always been somebody who's been a source of encouragement, and I respect that. And I always viewed it as he respected me as a friend. He respected what we did, it meant a lot because, like I said, I mean, we compete against each other in this market. But if you ever, and Kevin can tell you the same thing, if you ever see us at the Super Bowls in that press box, you know, we're all there for the same reason. It's not a competition. We're there to work together to cover high school football in Massachusetts, to cover the programs, the kids, the coaches, the parents, the support staff. That's what we're here for. We're all in it for the right reasons and the same reasons. And Danny's been a good role model in that regard. He's always been in it for the right reasons, and that's why he's so highly regarded. So again, like I said, Danny, I want to wish you best of luck in your retirement, my friend. I wish you and Carla the best in Florida. And I can't wait to talk to you during the football season, especially during the weeks when my Packers and your Lions get together and you reach out to me and smack talk me. You've had a lot to say the last 2 years. I'm hoping that the Pack turns that around here this season, but I still think the Lions are the better football team. But looking forward to talking football with you this fall, my friend, and stay in touch as always. And again, we appreciate what Danny's done for high school football in New England and what he's done for us, supporting us. I think that's huge. So cheers, Danny. I'm raising my Yeti to you, my friend, on a great career. We've got one more one more comment here from Adam. Making cement block at work, drinking water. Attaboy, got to hydrate. Got to hydrate. That's key. It's a key to life. All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of the New England Football Show. We are back now. You're stuck with us for a long time. In any event, that'll do it for this week's episode. For Kevin Stone, I'm John Sarianides. Till next week, be happy, be safe, and until then, peace.